Hey, welcome everybody to our weekly wrap up of what was going on this week as far as 2A. Joined by our co host who's sleeping in a chair over here. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's not joining us live. He's sleeping. We'll see if anybody joins us. The last couple of weeks on the live show, I've fallen asleep and posted the show in the morning live. So we'll see if anybody joins us tonight.
Show in the morning live.
Wow, that took a long time to pop up. So we're live here on the YouTube. We do this live every Friday. We dive into the stuff that I've been paying attention to this week that was focused on what our Second Amendment protects. Our goal is to take this information and write it down on a weekly basis here on our blog that we're looking at on the screen. We post that on our Patreon, which is the scroll at the bottom of the screen, is our thanking our Patreons, the people, the capitalists that use financial support to help keep our projects online. We post pretty much everything we do over there or here on Substack, and that's where what we're seeing on the screen right now. Every once in a while we send out a newsletter as well, and then the same with Instagram. Once in a while we'll post something over on Instagram. Maybe we'll take a look over there right now as we're waiting for people to roll in. Woods is out there. Welcome. Just saw your post over here on Instagram. Sounds like you're off for a couple weeks. Hope you're having a good time. Enjoying that time to relax with the pups. Over on the Instagram, we've got a poll that we put over on the YouTube. That looks like we got some comments coming in from Gear Report on that one. We talked about our Walmart knives. I finally got my hands on some Walmart knives. But the white ones online, and I had to buy like 5 of them to get free shipping. And then the orange ones, I had to buy 4 of them to get them shipped to the store for free or delivered to the store for free, which is a ripoff because I could have just gone to the store and got 1 or 2. But I don't care. We got knives to give away. And we have a goal out there. I just seen that YouTube lets us put up goals. So we have a goal for the show. Oh, it's only for half an hour. Dang. So we have a half an hour goal. If a bunch of people show up and feel like dropping super chats, then maybe something on the screen will get sent out. You never know. Then we got some other posts from our Instagram. As you can see, it's nothing like what it used to be back in the day. But here's something interesting. Posted, got 5 on this post, got 20 views on this one, 8 hearts, I guess, 64 on this one. It's more important. 50 on this one. It's kind of a rare book. 219. That's a lot for us. So this post got shared around a bunch. This is one that I worked on with Wheeled and Well Armed a while ago, getting back in 2020. And when you think of ATF, it's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Alcohol is responsible for about almost 100,000 deaths. Tobacco is responsible for something like 500,000 deaths. And then you got firearms, which is responsible for, if you take away suicides, about 11,000 deaths. And then if you add suicides, brings it to maybe 30,000, 40,000 deaths. So something like a third of the size of alcohol, which is 1/5 the size of tobacco. And here it is visually on the screen. So ATF is responsible for something like 600,000 deaths every year, yet firearms are the epidemic that they worry about almost exclusively. So I thought that was a great visual representation of that from a while back. And every once in a while we repost things over here, and that got some attention. Anyway, that's our Instagram. If we take a look at what other people are doing, it's like a place that makes helmets is talking about trauma training. You got Mike Pannone, one of the Delta Force guys, posting something about a book. This is a place up in Pennsylvania posting about some kind of gun. This is some girl up in Phoenix posting about her Republican show that she's at. This is some guy, he basically posts him going in and looking at all his guns all the time. He's got a bunch of fancy guns. This is Ed's manifesto. Posts all kinds of interesting stuff. This is a girl that posts about concealed carry for girls. This is a dude. I think he's from Gun Channels. Some sticker ad. I guess I'll stop. So you can see Instagram isn't quite what it used to be. Used to be a lot of gun pictures over there. Not too many people doing that anymore. Am I selling those knives? No, I just bought them. They're like $5 knives and $10 knives. I just bought them to give away. So we'll give them away in a bunch of different ways. Welcome, Wumble is here. Welcome. 3 terror attacks in Europe. Yemen attacks Israel. Interesting. I didn't hear about that. I don't pay attention to too much international stuff. I think that's everything. So, oh, what is a goal? That's weird. My thing is repeating itself. It's some new thing over here on YouTube. Let me drag that over here since I can share the screen anyway. So here's YouTube, and here's the comments. We do have a poll going. We'll talk about that in a second here. But this goal is a super chat goal, essentially. So I can remove the goal, but it just had a thing where I could choose. Oh, I forgot. It let me choose a bunch of different things. Like I could choose how long the goal was going to be, how many super chats. Like right now I have it set to 5. I could have chose, I think 2 to way more, like 30 or 50 or something crazy. You know, some of those channels get a lot of super chats. And then once you achieve the super chat, it lets you put what you're going to do about it. So it's just a new way to encourage super chats on YouTube. YouTube gets 1/3 of super chats, so they like super chats. They want them. They want people doing them. So we have a poll going, and if we, since I'm screen sharing, if you go over to the YouTube, the poll is over there with some AI imagery. But the poll question is over here: what ammunition trend excites you the most? And the options are environmentally friendly ammo, caseless rounds, polymer cased cartridges, or hypervelocity rounds. Are all of these in existence already? Well, there's some environmentally friendly ammo, steel, and that's probably the only one right now. And then caseless rounds, not too many of them out there. Then we have polymer cased, so instead of brass, they use a polymer. Those exist already. And then hypervelocity, I don't even know what that is. Fast, I guess, super fast ammo, so hot, like highly, like, what's the word, like mixed hot? I don't know what that would be. But it looks like over here live, everybody's posting caseless rounds is the thing that's exciting them the most. If we go over to the YouTube, the community tab, I guess, we've got, does that say 49 or 40? I think we have almost 50 votes over here. And hypervelocity is winning with caseless rounds coming in second, polymer cartridges at the 14%, and environmentally friendly ammo at 8%. So I think environmentally friendly is my first pick. When you think of the shooting ranges, there's already solvents, solvents that clean. What are they cleaning? They're cleaning the gunpowder. That's going to be an issue. But they're also cleaning the lead fouling, the lead spattle, or whatever you want to call it, the vaporized lead that gets everywhere. So if you get rid of the lead from the equation, guns are a lot cleaner. They can be greased probably, and you probably have a lot less solvent type of stuff coming off of them. But then there's a lot of lead, like a lot of lead gets vaporized and blown around in an indoor range, outdoor range settings. So having ammo that is like steel, for example, or I'd like to see ceramic, I think we have a lot less potential for harming ourselves as we're breathing and just existing around our ammo. And I'm going to keep saying it. Lead is old. It's super old. It's like the second oldest thing in guns. So I got nothing against the history and the tradition of lead, but I don't think we need to be tied to it like that's our only thing we can ever do. Every other thing we've allowed to evolve and adapt. Why do we got to keep lead? So caseless rounds, I don't know. Like I say, I don't really see much advantage to a caseless round, but maybe I'm missing something. Polymer cased, I think, is super interesting because it's so cheap and lightweight. You don't reload it, but maybe you recycle it and rebuild it. Maybe you recycle it or reload it that way. And then hypervelocity rounds, I guess for flat shooting, but it's obviously it's winning. All right, so caseless should be a thing. Caseless interests Vulcan the most also, and then Woods is saying caseless is also environmentally friendly. That makes a good point. If you're not shooting, or if you're not expelling brass all the time, you don't need to make the brass. That could be a good point. So feel free, if you're live here, feel free to participate in the poll. There's a poll here on the actual show, but then the poll over on the YouTube channel is where you can also participate. And there we go. Look at this. That was actually a lot to keep track of while I was sitting here doing screen sharing. So now we're back to the Substack. And again, we're kind of explaining that each week we take a look at the Second Amendment stuff that happened this week. And in this case, kind of got caught on a tangent there with the polls that we've got, but I don't usually run a poll. So I remembered to do that today. Or I was over here looking at the live side of YouTube and I went, oh yeah, I can put a poll up here. All right, so with that, let's dig into the show. We're going to be taking a look at the 2A stuff that happened this week. We'll take a look at the gun stuff that happened this week. And after the gun stuff, we got some radio shows that I didn't listen to, so that's going to be short. Then we've got the gun calendars website we go take a look at. We'll talk about some military interviews that I listened to, and then we'll talk about the stuff that we've posted this week to wrap up the show. It'll be a quick show today because I didn't go over and grab the 2A news from the NSSF, which I normally would do. It's just a super busy week with the end of the year and trying to do the last bit of Christmas sales that would be possible. But here and there, didn't spend as much time as I'd like on the gun stuff. That being said, there's not really a lot of gun stuff happening. Unless I'm missing something, there's not a lot of gun stuff happening other than wrapping up the year type of stuff. But I didn't look at the news at all, so we don't really have that segment this week. Then for the 2A talk, we usually lead this section off because I think one of the most important things, one of the most useful things, one of the most productive things that's happening each week or on the regular basis is the weekly effort from Brooke Cheney, who does the Suicide Prevention Saturday show. And I noticed that she doesn't necessarily name it that every time, and I think it's a factor of her being busy right now. But it's also potentially helping her because when you do say something like suicide prevention, the internet is too stupid to realize that you're trying to do positive content about that topic, and they usually blacklist you. What the hell? Oh, look at that. We got a super chat, and that makes something pop up on the screen. So I don't know, did that happen to everybody else? I forgot that I have that turned on. Let's see. Bacon, not mellow. Oh, it's probably trying to say bacon bit and mellow. Get treats. Well, we can make that happen. Let's see. We've got some hip and joint treats. We've got some flea and tick prevention treats. What are these? We've got this is the hip and joint hemp treats. I call those their hippie treats. This isn't a treat. This is a bag of topper for their food. And then this is 4-in-1 support. Chew and heal. They can't come up here because I got a bunch of crap on the table, but I'm in the ASMR open this. This tastes like a dead animal. It's horrible. Ugh. It's the worst smelling thing I've ever even experienced. He woke up. He's lazy. He woke up. He fell out of his chair. Oh, he almost ate my fingers off trying to eat that bacon or that chunk of gross smelling stuff. It smells like catfish skunk chunk. Have you ever done that? If you've ever fished for catfish, they use some kind of filthy mud to fish for them. And that's what that stuff smelled like. And he liked it. There you Go back on your chair. Go back on your chair. Up, uppity up. Uppity up. All right, he's going back to bed. Mello is not in here, and all that commotion, she didn't come in here. She's moody, and I can't make her come in here. Well, I guess I can make her come in here, but she doesn't like me to make her do things. Yeah, she's still not in here, and I said her name like 4 times. Mello, there's a treat in here from Woods if you want it. I said it out loud, so if she comes in here, she'll come in here. You can eat this if you want. It's free food. You can hear the little dog going nuts because he knows that I just said there's free food, and he's freaking out because he can't eat it. All right, I'm putting a stack of dog treats back. Other shows have all kinds of fancy things around their studio. I have buckets and buckets of dog treats around here. He's freaking out. He wants more of them dog treats. You're not getting more dog treats. But this one might be their favorite one. The 4-in-1 support. There's 60 of them in here. They probably eat 20 of them. They are horrible smelling. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. We've got Biker Bob out there. You want a link? You want to join us? I was trying to send out a link, and I couldn't find anybody online on the Instagram to send links out to. Bob is the original co-host of the show back before I had a little puppy. And Bob was saying they banned lever guns and anything with more than 5-round magazine in Canada. Here's the silver lining of what the communists have done to Canada. They're going to take all of those weapons of war and they're going to send them to the war zones, and then they're going to be able to create freedom with them. So instead of Canadians being able to be free, other countries will be free with those guns. Guess who's awake? Look who woke up. Guess who's got a treat sitting over here for her? She probably, using her dog senses, smelled this horrible smell of these things. Oh man, the stank comes out of the bucket when you take the lid off. Here you go. Wow. So normally, they have a little chunk like this. These things are about half the size of a Hershey Kiss. Usually something like that, they will just inhale it. They'll just open their mouths and do some kind of a vacuum system, and then it's gone. But in this case, both of them chewed the shit out of them. They're that stinky that they like them so much that they chew them. Well, let's see. Dog sitter for SHOT Show 2025. Bob, you going to SHOT Show? Is that what's happening? Is that what you're talking about? I haven't talked to DJ to find out what's happening with his end of the world, with what's happening to go to SHOT Show or not. Are you farting or are you making that noise out of your mouth? Either way, quit making that noise. All right, so Vulcan Rumble saying caseless interests him the most. Caseless is also environmentally friendly. There we go. Ends failure to eject. Well, when you have a failure to fire, what do? I guess you still have to ram it out of there. That's your Biker Bob showed up. And then, I don't know, you have to extrapolate on dog sitter for SHOT Show. So we do need a dog sitter for the SHOT Show. That's when the super chat came in. Well, thank you again. Bacon Bit is the name of this little dog right here. He's going that freaking out because in his mind, he ate a free biscuit, right? He woke up. He was sleeping. He woke up when I opened that bucket, and he fell out of the chair trying to get over here fast enough to eat the thing. And then he ate the thing, but I'm sure that all happened before he woke up. And then in his perspective, Mello walked in here, and she got a free biscuit. So now, according to puppy math, she's one up on him because he doesn't remember eating the one, and he thinks that he's seen her eat an extra one, so he is pissed off right now, and he's bugging the hell out of me to try to get another biscuit. How about biodegradable projectiles? Is that possible? I think it's 100% possible with 2 things that come to mind. One, and they're both made of the same material, I think. One is glass. How come we don't use glass projectiles? All somebody has to do is explain that to me. And then, especially when we have Gorilla Glass, like we have on our phones, how come we don't make that into projectiles? All you have to do is explain that to me. And then imagine if it was laminated. Like, how cool would that be? And then the other thing would be ceramic. So we can make all kinds of interesting things out of ceramic, and we can coat the ceramic, and we can put the ceramic into flechettes, or think of a shotgun wad. How come we don't use materials made out of silica? So sand, one of the most common elements on the planet Earth. So I think biodegradable, and when you shoot sand, or when you shoot glass or ceramic at a hard surface, it turns into sand again. So there you go. It's pretty biodegradable. So I think, yes, I think that's 100% doable. Why we don't do it is laziness. People just don't feel like it. You'd be susceptible to a density meter, but you would also be able to go right through radar detectors or metal detectors, I guess. Let's see. Yes, we saw it. I don't know what you've seen. Hippie treats. Oh, you voted for the hip and joint hemp treats. They don't smell anywhere near as bad. They smell like the hippie weed, but they ended up getting the foreign ones. Bob then mentioned about the lever guns, and that is heinous, really. And nobody's talking about it, Bob. Like, people out in this country, the country south of you, they don't even talk about Canada no more. And it's messed up, because for a long time, at least our show, talked about Canada quite a bit. You have a couple of shows up there in Canada, but I don't follow too many of them. There's a couple of them. One of them, can't remember the name of them, but they're kind of documenting the guns that are in the collection that are getting, I don't know what's happening actually, but they're going through the guns in the collection. Hopefully something will happen sooner than later in Canada for the better, but I don't know. Like I said, nobody down here talks about Canada much, so I do not know what this situation is in Canada. Maybe Bob will jump in sometime and we'll have an update on what's happening up there. Phantom is out there. Welcome. Sorry, this thing is really driving me nuts, because I can show you, but like this thing over here is what I'm trying to scroll through, and it keeps showing me the old ones on top of the new ones and stuff. Like, they're not in order, or if they're in order, it's skipping and adding old ones, shuffling old ones in too. So it's really, really, really tough to scroll through here. Bob says he needs a new trailer. His RV had a small fire. Biodegradable caseless. Yep, do both. Sounds good. Canadian president got thrown out. What? Is that true? Oh, you guys saw the pop-up, seeing the super chat. Okay, cool. So I guess I can move that around on the screen. I don't really have anything going on, so there's no reason to, but I'm still learning the system, and each time I go live or each time I watch somebody else talk about something, I discover something new over here. So, all right, appreciate everybody's patience here, but we're chatting about the Second Amendment stuff that happened this week. We're kind of at the beginning of the show here, a little bit of sidetracking. But Brooke doing her suicide prevention Saturday, again, often gets, I want to say blacklisted, but I think it's one of the more important things that happens each week. Learning how to talk about these subjects, mental health awareness, and then suicide prevention, is good for our side. It's good for us to be able to talk about these things. It's just healthy. And then when we're talking to the other side, it's critical. It's really important. They rely on medical because they own doctors. All you got to do to own a doctor is pay them. Like, doctors are whores, so they're going to do it or say whatever you tell them to say, or whatever you tell them you want said. The other options would be police, and some politicians, I guess, can appoint some chiefs of police, but you've got sheriffs who are elected, so it's very difficult to own a sheriff, if not impossible. I mean, it's pretty impossible, but it's not impossible, yes. But it's very difficult to own a sheriff, and only some police are really under the thumb of some politicians, and only some politicians are anti-rights. So the medical, is something that the antis can own, where the other leg would be law enforcement, and then I guess the third leg would be social situation, and that's typically influenced by political what's the word, like, by the political situation, laws, and the way money the government, state money is spent. And since that's politicians and they're the ones behind all this, they don't want to consider that a thing unless they're somehow making money on it. So it's the medical. They can say, hey, doctors say that guns are bad, and that's the cause of all our problems. And doctors will say, okay, guns are bad and they're the cause of all the problems. Then all of a sudden they can say guns are a mental health, or guns are a health risk to society, an epidemic to society, a health epidemic. So being able to address that is critical. By not addressing that, by laughing it off or ignoring it, we're not just empowering them, but we're giving them more momentum, and we're giving them territory. And we don't need to give them either. So learning how to defend against that, learning how to cut them off, learning how to challenge them, learning how to debate them, learning how to have conversations with them, are what Brooke is attempting to do. And she doesn't do it in a lecture. She doesn't do it in like a class situation. She's just offering little nibbles, little ways here and there to consistently address the concept. And really, there's nothing else there's no better way to do this. The closest thing we have is what we'll talk about here in a minute, and that's Walk the Talk America. Everything else out there is either non-existent or lip service. And these are this is 2 out of 3 deaths with a firearm. So if we want to ignore suicides, we can, but it's going to be to our detriment. So by addressing them and being able to competently talk to both sides, ourselves and the other side, it's literally the best thing we can do. And I spend a good portion of every single show each week talking about that, not just because Brooke does her show, but because it's literally the most important thing we could be doing for our situation right now. It's difficult, it's tedious, it's ugly, it's bad. Like it's a horrible thing in all kinds of ways, and it's bad. It's detrimental to our channels when we talk about this stuff. It's just not good for the logarithm. It's not good for entertainment, right? But it's important. It's literally the most important thing that's happening. We don't have any of the national level organizations that do a fucking thing for this. They don't do a thing for this, and it's a crime. And that's the reason we have an ongoing debate, is because we can't take 2 out of 3 deaths off of the table. If we could get to the point where society understands that suicides are not gun violence, that they're that's the actual mental health issue, and it isn't the gun. And then the whole red flag thing is this issue right here, because they say, oh, you're so messed up in your head, right? They're going to use incorrect assessment of a mental health condition to suggest that someone needs to take only one dangerous item away at the point of a gun, right? And that's the person's guns. We're going to leave their knives. We're going to leave, all the other dangerous things they might have, and we're going to give them the keys to their vehicle and let them do anything they want. We're just going to take those guns away. It's ridiculous. And we leave that on the table because our national level organizations don't have the balls to address suicide prevention, and nobody else has the interest in having conversations about mental health. You know who does? Some of the military. In fact, I'm listening to a conversation right now with a Navy SEAL who's talking to a physician who's attempting to address PTS, post-traumatic stress, with some injections. I haven't gotten to that part of the interview yet, but military understand that mental health is the same as our physical health. It's just mental, right? So if we have a broken arm, poked out our eye, lost a leg, we can talk about that stuff. It might be difficult, it might be tricky, and you might want to have a way to address something with someone, but we talk about stuff, physical issues. For some reason, our society has a glitch with talking about mental health, and because of that, it's exploited and used against us. So let's eliminate that by being competent and being willing and able to talk about mental health. And that's what Brooke does. So I talk about it at the beginning of every show because it's one of the most important things that happens each week. And she does it every fucking week. Name another thing on this list that happens every single week. There's a couple that happen most of the time. Brooke is there consistently. All right, well, I can't say more good things about her, so we'll move on to Walk the Talk America. First off, it's Riding Shotgun with Charlie, doing his Riding Shotgun with Charlie, and he does that by having a live interview. He does this really smart. He does a live interview with these guys. Hopefully, he then takes the transcript. So, in other words, let's do that real quick together, just so that people understand what I'm talking about here. How do I do this? I guess I could scroll down. No, I can't. Oh, you know what I can click on? There we go. So I clicked on the title there, opened in a new window, and now I'm looking at Charlie's video on YouTube. I'm going to click on more info on the description here, and at the bottom, it'll say show transcript, and then I can get where the comments would be on a live stream. I can go up here and toggle off the timestamps, and then I can literally copy the entire text of Charlie's discussion there with Jake and Mike. And if I wasn't dumb, I would just hold down my mouse button and scroll all the way to the bottom. And now I literally have, by right-clicking and copy, I have the entirety of that conversation. And I could open up a notepad over here, and as easily as I paste that entire conversation in Notepad, which is, does it tell me how many words it is? Somewhere it'll tell me how many words that is, right? But I could take that and drop it into ChatGPT. I could drop it into any number of AI robots and turn that into a nice blog post. Hopefully that's what Charlie's doing. Or he's doing something similar to create his Writing Shotgun with Charlie show. But that happened this week, and Walk Talk America is doing good work. They recorded this earlier in the year, and they were just talking about stuff, but they were talking about going to an event that here they're talking about. So there was a firearms research conference. A bunch of doctors gets together and talk about how bad guns are. And this is their third year doing it, but the first year that they included Walk the Talk America. So we have, I'm sure there's other conferences where doctors get together. They get paid a lot of money to figure out things. So, they're going to get together and figure those things out, I guess. So in this case, they've been getting together for 3 years to bitch about firearms. And according to Mike, there was a close to an anti-gun rally at the event. And, when there's nothing to challenge that, it turned into an anti-gun, let's hate guns festival. Just I'm summarizing it, but I wasn't there. But it definitely sounds like it's a not gun-friendly situation. So they show up with Walk Talk America and offer some perspective. They had other people there, or other people were there that they knew. For example, Professor Yamane, but Pincus was there also, and some other guy, and they know Pincus real well. So they did their first show. Walk Talk America did their first show talking about the event live. We talked about that last week, I think. And then they're going to have a couple of shows. They had this one with Pincus, and they're going to have a couple of more with people who attended the event to continue talking about the event. But it sounds like overall they had a pretty positive time at the event. They saw some things that were like cringe-worthy, you could say, some really anti-rhetoric and facts, quote-unquote, which gave them some insight as to what to bring and what to address next year. So it's kind of interesting to see this development of what the Walk the Talk America project is doing. And, they're multifaceted. And now that this one has come along, it sounds like another campaign or another agenda that they'll work on. And anyway, I think I watched a chunk of the one with Pincus. All right, I guess that's all I got for 2A stuff this week. Let me take a jump over and take a look at what the comments are saying. I see Ozzy is out there. Welcome. Let's see. Okay, Bob saying we might have an election in the next few months. People are pissed here, ready to separate government. Government has a 25% approval rating. And Bob says 30% of the country wants to join the U.S. 65 of the western provinces want to join the U.S. That's interesting. Then Vulcan is saying the USA federal government will not shut down. Republicans caved. Uh-oh. What did they cave to? I didn't hear about that. I thought that everybody was happy that they got rid of the 1,500 pages. Don't tell me they accepted those 1,500 pages. Bob is saying that the Republic or the that Prime Minister is not the president, just party leader. Some party's still in power for now. Oh, and he is clinging on. So you're saying what's his face was removed, but he's still. So he was removed as the boss of the party, but the party is still in charge. He's just not the boss of it anymore. If that's the case, that sounds like really good news. And Bob is saying that the western provinces, the provinces are states, they just don't know how to call them states, are all the farmers and oil fields. All right, so everybody's saying hey to each other, and if I'm missing anything, let me know. At this point, like I showed you, I'm definitely missing something. Either I don't think I changed anything, but my computer's been acting a little weird. Maybe I got a clock issue or something. But if I'm missing a comment, I apologize. It's definitely driving me nuts, and I'm spending too much time scrolling and trying to look for them. So now that we're done with the 2A section of the show, we'll get into the gun talk section of the show. I think that's a good time to take a break and play a commercial for our store, which I forget to always.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
That's the wrong button. So I don't know how to shut all these stupid things. There's like look at this. You feel like you're on the Today Show or something. And thank you for watching the. Thanks for tuning in. These are all the fake things that are just in here. I gotta figure out how to close this. Okay. So then I can do this and that, and I think we're back. So thanks for anybody who buys stuff over at the store. And next we're getting into the gun section of the show. So, there's the Second Amendment, and then there's guns. Two totally separate things. Guns are neat and they're fun and all that, but needed and useful, and they're practical and blah blah blah. But the Second Amendment is all about the rights and whatnot. So I think the one is critically important. The other is super important, and the critically stuff gets done first. So now we'll talk about the gun stuff. We've got the Gun and Gear Review podcast that happens on Tuesdays. Pretty good show. Where they get together and they talk about, guess what? Guns and gear. Then we've got the Cape Gun Works. They've been doing shows all the time. Normally I would talk about Cape Gun Works during the radio show segment of the show, but I didn't listen to hardly any radio shows this week. I've been doing stuff during the day when all the radio shows are on. So I'm including this, though, where I guess Switchblades technically are good to go in Massachusetts to some extent. And they got a bunch over at Cape Gun Works, so they've been posting couple of different things to let people know about the news, and then let people know what kind of stuff that you got in stock. And I don't know. Let me know. We already have a poll going, but feel free to leave a comment on your opinion of the Switchblades. When I was a little kid, I thought Switchblades were great, and now that I own tons of them, because I still think they're neat as far as machines. I never carry a Switchblade. I hardly ever have. I have a couple of times, but just out of principle. I just don't like closing Switchblades. So as much fun as they are to open, there's like 100 other kind of knives that open just as fast. But Switchblades, you have to like use two hands to close, so I usually don't bother with them. Let's see. Woods is asking about the Ruger clone. Well, we'll chat about kind of that kind of stuff here in a bit. Then there was a Christmas party show earlier today with Riding Shotgun with Charlie and Meet the Pressers. They had Clover and some other people on. I'm trying to think of who the other people were now. A bunch of people who I don't know. Some other people I used to know, and then Clover. Let's see. And then, but I don't know how many people are doing Christmas shows. Gizzard kind of did a Christmas show, but the big news is that Gizzard has a new grandbaby. So congratulations to Gizzard's daughter. And now Gizzard has a new person to buy knives for. Let's see. Then we get Gun Club Radio had the dude from Hollow Sun on. So every once in a while you get people that do interviews with the actual, people that are the representatives or owners or founders of companies. But I don't see people have the guy on from Hollow Sun very often. So if you want an opportunity to see the guy from Hollow Sun, there you go. Okay, you guys putting all kinds of comments over here. Ozzy is saying the Illinois FOID, firearms owner identification case, was in the state appellate's courts yesterday. I listened to it until I had to go to work. It wasn't going well for the state. Well, that's good to hear. So I'm out of it as far as paying attention to, well, not just the news of what's happening, but who's instigating that. So it's either, I'm assuming that's either Second Amendment Foundation or FPC, but I could be wrong on that. But definitely good. I'm assuming you're talking about if an FOID is legal or like a valid thing. Hopefully somebody's challenging that. That's one of the lamer gun controls, is the concept that you have to have a permit just to be able to own a gun or be in possession of a gun. So now that becomes a barrier to entry, and then it becomes like just a nuisance thing. Like, oh, where's your permit? How come you're standing here with your gun without your permit? And I don't know what there's probably a name for those kind of laws, but that kind of stuff is annoying when they just exist to exist kind of laws, or if they're just there to be discretionary, like, it's up to the person who's messing with you to decide if they're going to charge you with it or not. That's, I think, unnecessary kind of laws. Phantom is saying Boker has a bunch of nice solid autos that don't break the bank. There are a few of the out the front that are fast to open and close, but if you mess with it a lot for fun, it would be a good idea to buy extra springs. Good point. I forgot about the out the fronts switchblades. And you're right, they are definitely easy to open and close. They make a little noise and they scare the shit out of people, which, is their problem, I guess. But it's difficult to open those with discretion. And the other issue, besides the springs wearing out, and I've only owned a couple and they're cheap. Like, I do not own a nice one, but I'm assuming the nice ones are the same way from what I've seen. On an out the front, if you disrupt its ejection, I guess, like, the blade coming out, it'll kind of jump its track. And anyway, so you can jump their track. I mean, it's not hard to put them back in, but that's sort of a thing. Like, if they don't have the space to open, then they kind of glitch. And I don't think it's detrimental. It's just that it's a thing you have to deal with. That is a good point. And I think out the front, like I say, I haven't owned a good out the front, so I don't want to dismiss them. But they're almost always daggers, blade on both sides. I shouldn't say they're always like that because I've seen some Tontos and stuff, but they typically were, and that's just less practical than a standard blade. All right, so that's a good point though. Since we don't have anything for radio shows, I'll mention that the only real radio shows that happen on a regular basis anymore would be, well, technically gun or Arms Room Radio on Saturdays out of Florida, and then Cape Gun Works out of Massachusetts. I just haven't listened to the Sunday one. I do something at the same time as Toby's Sunday show, so I almost always miss it. And then the Tuesday and Wednesday shows I just have been missing. But otherwise, Toby does a show Sundays. He does a show on Tuesdays, and he does a show on Wednesdays. So you have 3 opportunities to catch up with what's happening in Massachusetts and at their gun shop. And then, of course, they answer and address all the news of the day and the questions that come into the comments during the live shows. It's one of my favorite ones to listen to, typically, if I have time to do it. And then Gun Owners Radio out of San Diego, California, does the Gun Owners, I guess it's called Gun Owners Radio, show. Used to be on the radio up until just recently. Now it's a podcast. Happens on Sundays, and then occasionally on Mondays they'll do a talking lead instead of talking, a lead talks instead of TED Talks. They do a lead talks where they have usually instructors on to chat with for a while. Anyway, so that's what we would normally have under radio shows, but this week we'll just move on to gun calendars. I just opened it up. This is a website that our Patreons, our capitalist supporters, help us keep going. We have a couple of servers that run these things, and then we have I'm actually just getting a bill for my software, so it's not a real heavy bill. For a while there, it was a burden, but it's not a big, giant bill. But the Patreons help with that. They make sure that the websites are out there, that they have very few, there's like no ads, but just very few links even. And they're just here to provide information for people who are interested in what's coming up, what's happened, and what's happening in the gun realm. So today's the 20th, it looks like. Tomorrow we have the anniversary of the Aaron Zellman passing away back in 2010. He was the founder of JPFO, or Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, back in 2001, I think. Wait. Does it say? Back, he founded that in 1989. I was way off. He founded that in 1989. So that's been a long time. That was back in the days of way before the internet. We got the anniversary of Luger. He's the guy that invented guess what? The Luger and the stupid 9mm. Some people would call it 9mm Day. I was going to say it's ironic that 9mm Day is 10/22, but I guess it's 12/22. Then we have Mikhail Kalashnikov passing away on December 23rd, 2013. Some of us can remember going to SHOT Show in 2014 in the somber mood of the show. It was way more somber than the mood when Glock passed away. Was that last year or 2 years ago? So I think a much bigger impact on the industry for anybody who's interested. Like, that was a somber show, and a lot of people had different things to commemorate and to acknowledge the passing of Kalashnikov, where, except for the Glock booth, nothing really talked about Glock's passing. Mario's out there. Welcome. There's no way to do the hey, so I'll leave that to Gizzard. Let's see. Then we've got, guess what? Next week is Christmas and Christmas Eve. Then we have on the 28th, the anniversary back in 2009 of the walls collapsing on the Bannerman Castle. So the castle was made by Bannerman back in the 1900s, like right around 1900, 1910, something like that. And then it started being built until about the 40s. And he used concrete that had a bunch of black powder in it. Somebody had tried to, what did they do? I forget the story exactly, but somebody was smuggling black powder into some war zone. And they did that by having 55 or barrels of black powder with a little bit of concrete on top, or maybe it was half and half, I don't know. But somehow the concrete that was used in that smuggling wasn't going to get thrown away because everybody was cheap. So they kept that concrete, even though it was only used to smuggle a bunch of gunpowder. And then he made his castle out of that concrete. But as legend says, there was a bunch of gunpowder in the concrete, so it wasn't the best concrete. So because of that, in 2009, after, well, I guess about 100 years, about 100 years of existence, it fell down. And actually, 100 years of existence, but about 40 years of neglect, complete neglect, it fell down. So, well, 2 walls fell down. And that sucks because now it doesn't really look like much. It looks kind of like a wall now instead of looking like a building. But they have put braces up on the existing walls, the remaining walls, I guess I should say. And although it looks stupid, it looks like some kind of weird spaceship now, the actual castle itself won't continue to fall down. On that same day, we have the anniversary of the birth of H.L. Richardson, and that would be, let's see. Oh, okay. So Richardson is the guy that founded Gun Owners of America. He was a politician, a representative in California, and he's seen that. Well, he was a representative in California, and the first handgun bans started to happen, and he successfully challenged those with the Gun Owners of California, and then they took that concept national in 1975, I guess, and turned it into Gun Owners of America. So that was created by this guy seeing that handguns were going to be banned in California in 1969, something like that. And so he successfully challenged that, and then took that challenge, turned it into Gun Owners of America, and set it loose on the national scene. And that guy, that politician, that California representative, was born in 1927 on December 28th. It was also the day that Reverend John Forsyth, who everyone knows is, that's right, the inventor of the percussion cap. Before that, we had a piece of rock hitting the hammer and creating sparks. And that was really, really a pain in the butt if it was wet. This guy lived in England where it's wet all the time. So he decided to create the percussion cap. It was his only contribution to guns. And then he never invented anything else compared to guns. So that was a tough one to put into the gun history because he's done so little with guns. But what he did, you got hiccups now. What he did was pretty impressive, pretty important. I'm not sure where to end this every year or every week, so I'm going to keep going because on the 20th, I'll just go to the end of the month. On the 29th, we have the anniversary of Texas becoming the 28th state. They joined the United States on December 29th, 1845. And that, of course, led to the Mexican-American War. So thanks, Texas, for starting a war. Did we steal Texas, or did they get sick of being part of Mexico? You tell me. Let's see. Then we got the Battle of Wounded. Is it a battle? We have Wounded Knee happening also on December 29th, but that was in 1890. So we have Texas starting the whole Mexican-American War in 1845, and then 45 years later, Wounded Knee happens, which of course was 300 people minding their own business, and the army came along and decided to kill them all. So 300 people murdered near Wounded Knee in South Dakota. It's pretty somber going there. I've happened to have been there once. And anyway, so government doesn't always do things in the interest of everybody. Then we've got Ingram, inventor of the Mac 10, a bunch of other cool stuff. Being born back in 1924. Thompson being born. Look how many gun inventors were born at the end of December. Thompson being born in 1860. Guess what? He invented the Thompson. We have the Privacy Act of 1974. That's an important one because that's the law that in 1974 prevented the government from having lists of us as gun owners and databases and shit like that. Canadian gun control. Oh, I'm going into first, so that'll be the first. So that's everything that I've got in the list for December. And again, thanks to our Patreons. This stuff doesn't come out of thin air. I definitely didn't have robots helping me throughout the years to build that stuff. Most of that stuff has artwork or what do you call it, like illustrations or some sort of visual thing to go with it over on Instagram. And all of that time, all of that effort is all a result of the support of our Patreons. So thanks to them for making it possible for us to put that little bit of effort out into the world to keep, again, people aware of what's coming, where we've come from, and what's happening right now. This is the end of the year. I've got a couple other things I got to work on, but one of my tasks at the end of the year, usually in December, is to figure out what is happening next year. So stay tuned. Obviously, I'll be letting you know, but stay tuned to guncalendars.com where we'll post all the rallies that happen next year. We have a number of rallies that happen every single year, like the Virginia State Rally will happen at the same time as SHOT Show. Then we'll have the Arizona Rally, typically second weekend in February here in Arizona. Gun Owners Action Week. No. Gun Owners. What is it called? Gun Owners Action Day. No. Gold. Illinois is called Gun Owners Legislation Day. That's what it is. Took me a minute. There's too many gun owners things out there that I got them all mixed up in my head. So that'll happen. Yeah, Ozzy will help me in like April or something. That happens middle of the year. And then there's some other rallies that happen on a fairly regular basis. Often with stress, but hopefully we'll see some rallies happen not as a result of fear, but as like the Arizona rally, a consistent effort to welcome the people in the community and to make it a social event, but also to rally the troops and keep us all on track for the stuff that we should be achieving during the good times, right? Gun Owners Lobby Day, and then when is it? Is it June or is it April? I've been writing it down for so many years that I can't. It's all a jumble in my head right now. But we'll be doing that here soon, and all that'll go on gun calendars. And then, of course, the events like the training events, the big-ass gun shows, the industry events, and everything else that we know of that we're able to, we'll put in there. All right, then we get into military interviews. A couple of them, I'm just listening to the Mike Drop podcast. They're not in here because I listened to them on another computer. But he had one with an FBI undercover guy, which is pretty good. It's worth listening to. A couple of points that are worth knowing for, having conversations. And now I'm listening to the one with the doctor who has some injection that you put. I don't really know the details, but some kind of an injection that helps with PTS, post-traumatic stress. But I also listened to this one last week. The Team House had on one of the guys a plank holder, somebody who was in the first unit, like the first iteration of a new branch or a new division or a new service or, some kind of new team. So Delta Force, people may have heard of before. It started. Some guy one time was told, okay, you can make a new thing to do this job or something. And that guy was, I can't think of his name, was, oh man, why can't I think of his name? But anyway, I'll think of it when I'm not trying to think of it. But anyway, they gave the guy the job, and this is the first group of people who he brought on to be the first Delta Force. Anyway, so listening to that guy talk about stuff, super neat, very interesting. Oh, and then I should go up. I'm falling asleep in my own show. This is late. Usually I'm falling asleep by 9, so this is super late for me. Been a long time since I've been live. Well, I've been doing the shows on Saturday mornings. I've been falling asleep. But thanks for joining. Let's see. So the Borderland is always good, and this one is talking about the concept of why Mexico doesn't do something about the cartels. And for all the conversations I've heard from people in the United States talking about the cartels, it's a completely different conversation when you listen to people who are in Mexico talking about cartels. So this one is actually a very good one to listen to if you want to get some alternative perspective on how to deal with cartels. Because, and I think this is
migrants.
the one. Yeah, she talks about how there's I think like 1 million migrants from South America that are being held in Mexico in pretty shitty conditions as a bargaining chip to the United States, that they feel like it, they'll let them go and send them north, or they could feel like it and let them go and send them south. But to have the bargaining chip, they've got those 1 million people. And I don't know if I've ever heard of that concept before. So what she talks about in this one is pretty interesting. Oh, definitely worth a listen. And it would be great to hear somebody have a whole conversation about this, but good luck. There's not that many people that give a shit about what's going on the border. So anyway, there's probably some other stuff that happened this week, but I missed it. A story hasn't been doing there, so I didn't miss that. And there's some other Ironclad I probably missed. And like I said, I didn't put the Team House stuff in here. Or I guess I put this Team House stuff, but they did some other stuff as well. All right, so now we'll move on to our stuff this week. I guess before I do, because I don't put enough of these in here, I'm going to drop another commercial to the store.
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at gearwebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com.
And of course, thanks to Foss for making that commercial for me. All right, so Tony and I did another Ask Gun Questions. We did pretty good. It was 2 hours. He had someplace to go, so we had sort of a time limit on this show. I think it was a pretty good one, though. I think we do better when there's a time constraint, because I think we get to the point more. We tend to ramble. I've been told we tend to ramble on that show. Let's see. Then we got the video talking about the different knives. I just went live real quick, but I think I showed pretty good. It's only like a 3-minute video, but I think I showed pretty good the differences. The biggest difference is that these aren't a full liner. These are just all plastic handles. These handles have a metal liner inside of them. Oh, look at this. So the last thing I was going to talk about is the movie First Blood. Rambo, First Blood Part 1. First Blood, Rambo Part 1, I guess. And it's saying that it's age limited. So anyway, you can watch Rambo. I think you can watch First Blood. They're actually two different movies. So First Blood has Rambo in it, but it's not a Rambo movie. That one is on YouTube. So I watched about a quarter of it, a third of it, and then I've watched it so many times that I didn't keep watching it. But the beginning of it is the best part. And yeah, awesome. So I forgot that you could watch stuff on YouTube. Which is asking if we're doing the show tomorrow. I think so. I shouldn't be. I should be doing other stuff, but I'll probably end up doing the show. So then you asked about the some Ruger gun or whatever. So I've started putting some new blogs over here. So this is still Substack, but instead of just doing the live stuff over on Substack, we do other blog posts. So there's that. These are some of the new guns coming up at SHOT Show, coming up in a couple of weeks here. I guess in about 31 days, 21 minutes, and 14 seconds. SHOT Show will be starting. So we've got the Ruger LC carbine in 10 millimeters, and there's a bunch of things going on about that. It's $10,000. It's a $1,000 gun. If they chopped it here, if they took this part off and then dropped that barrel right there, and then got rid of the stupid stock and put some kind of wire stock on it, I'd be interested. Then you've got the Beretta PMX, and so there you go, some kind of little folding stock, or I guess folding brace. No, that must be a short barrel rifle because it has a vert grip on it. So that means that's a folding stock and a vert grip. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like these kind of guns, but I know a lot of people do. Then you got your Weatherby Mark V backcountry, which I guess is, no big deal. Just a $3,000 bolt action gun. Then you got your Kimber 2K11, which is a fancy, hip, trendy way to say double stack 1911. Twice the 45 ACPs in there, so they can charge you $2,000 for it. So that's what a $2,000 pistol looks like. Then you got your Fight Light advanced lever action, which is an AR magazine with a lever action behind it. Lever actions look cool until you throw them, until you put your hand in there and run the lever. I haven't seen this one go, so sometimes they figure it all out and it's really short, and other times you're going to have to move your hand around. Let's just put it that way. And then kind of a massive rifle stock compared to what a standard lever action would have, and I guess there's a reason for a full comb and a massive stock on here. And then a super light handguard up front with the barrel going right through the middle. I mean, if you're starting from somewhere to modify, it's a thing. But if it's the final product, it looks like it's waiting to be modified to me. Maybe it's just the lack of sights on it. Then you get your IWI Galil Ace Gen 2. So they made it look like more like a rifle, I guess. Kind of like a ACR. Then you get your Nemo Arms Mongoose, which is breaking new ground. So this is it's not a Scorpion, and it's not a Tech 22, but, what is it? And then you got your Beretta 92 XL, the Speed Series. Wow, look at that Beretta. There's no way that all you have to do is push this backward, push your thumb onto this thing and move it 180 degrees, and then pull the entire slide off and stick this jabby part right into the bad guy's neck. FYI, that's all you have to do to take apart a Beretta in a person's hand and then jab them in the neck with the slide. It's been done on more than one movie, so it's been verified as fake, as reality. So never carry a Beretta unless you want to be jabbed in the neck with your own slide, but do what you're going to do. And then in conclusion, here's a Kimber with a PCI member with an RMR on it. So there you go. There's your RMR on a member. But you've got, let's say you wanted to buy everything at SHOT Show. You're looking at $1,400 plus 19, so now you're looking at $2,500, let's say. And then, no big deal. We don't know the price on that one or this one, I guess. But we know the price on this one. So now we're at, what did we just say? 35. Now we're at 45. No, 55. And then we're going to add another 88 to it. So now we're at 8,800. No big deal. Now we're at 90 something thousand, 10,000. No big deal. We're just around 12,000 bucks. So for 12,000 bucks, you can buy all these. And then I also made a thing for scopes, and then I figured out that I don't think I'm allowed to talk about scopes on here because the YouTube is stupid and they hate guns and they hate our culture. They hate our property and they hate us, really. So I've been told that that's not the case, that, there's just the mechanism and we need to work within the rules. But in reality, I think that YouTube is trying to adjust society by fucking with the, what is it called? What's the window? The Overton window. Thanks to all the people who are about to type that or say it to their computer if you're listening to this. But I think that what that YouTube is doing is an attempt to social engineer and to move the Overton window and to create guns in the same light as vice and necessary violence or something, which is not the only way to frame it, and it's incorrect and it's offensive. So I don't give them that pass. I don't say, oh, well, maybe if we just played with the rules. So I'm not allowed to show this or what I'm talking about. I can show it on Substack, I guess, but I can't really talk about it over here. Yep, thanks, Overton window. Anyway, so there you go. That's my opinions on some of the stuff that's coming up at SHOT Show. I posted some blog posts just to do it. I don't have affiliate links with anybody. I just thought it'd be neat. I haven't done SHOT Show shit in a while. And nothing, in case you're wondering, nothing caught my eye. Like I say, this thing's kind of interesting, but not all that interesting to me. I don't know. I'm just too old. I've been around this stuff too long that I'm not looking for new stuff personally. So I'm not looking to shop, and kind of the idea of giving us endless shit every year gets to be tiring, and I'm starting to think that it's there's a word for it that I'm missing, but it's really close to offensive. Like, we don't need new shit. Like, we're not babies. We don't need new shit every year. Maybe what would happen if a whole SHOT Show was devoted to changing the way that our industry is perceived instead of worrying about selling us all new shit every year. But I guess I'm not supposed to talk about that. So we'll wrap this one up. So thanks everybody for joining. I think I got everything in here I was trying to. We did it in a little bit over an hour, and that's because a bunch of people joined us. If you're listening to this as a podcast, where most people will listen to this, and you want to be part of the show, there's probably 5-6 ways to do it. But the ways that we'll talk about are: go to wherever it is you listen to your podcast at and leave us a comment, give us a thumb up or a star, heart, whatever it happens to be over there. Or leave us a comment. That's the best thing. Leave us a comment on the podcast platforms. We may or may not. I don't really know how to monitor that. We don't get enough of them so that I don't see them. So I don't know if they're going to give me alerts or whatever, but I sort of do the podcasting through a place that funnels my podcasts out. I'm not sure if it pulls the comments in or not. But either way, I do appreciate the people that might be leaving comments out there. And whenever this gets to the point where there's comments on a regular basis, we'll certainly be monitoring them. But aside from leaving us comments, which really does do a lot for us and anyone else you value, like if you're doing that for us, then take a minute and go around to the other podcasts that you value and do the same, because again, it's really the best thing you could do for a podcast. As far as other ways that you can help out the show would be to be a Patreon. There's a little scroll at the bottom of the screen, let you know that if you go to patreon.com/gunwebsites, you can join and be a part of what we got going on. I was listening to some people chatting earlier today about a concept, a way of doing things, and I might look into that. So there might be even more of a reason to be a Patreon, I guess, or a channel member than ever before. So at least if you're interested in our old stuff. So keep an eye out or an ear out for that. Woods is asking what time is Ask Gun Questions. It's almost always at 3 p.m. Eastern, because that's when Tony's available. The only time it changes is when I screw up and put it at the wrong time or something. But it's 3 p.m. Eastern usually. With that, though, thanks for asking. And anybody wants to join us tomorrow to chat with Tony, feel free. Leave us some questions out there. If you go to ask.gunquestions.com, we're not asking for nothing. Leave a question over there, and then we'll answer it. Ozzy saying thanks for what you do. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I really wish I had time to do more. I actually figured out a way this morning when I was chatting with some people. I thought I found a way to do what I was doing back in the day when I was traveling in a different way. That's let's just say profitable. What I did for years was go out on the road to champion gun shops and gun shows, and I enjoyed it. But I was secretly racking up, well, let's just say tens of $1,000s in credit card debt because I wasn't quite doing it financially responsibly. I was just doing it. But you only live once, and I figured, screw it, I'll figure out the money part later. And I did. I figured out the money part later, and I've been doing that for about a year now. But now that that's over, I got out of that, most of that debt. As I start looking forward, start thinking about what to do next / what to do again. I really enjoyed doing that. Going out on the road and experiencing all the different gun shows that are out there is one of my favorite things to do. Um, I hope that it was interesting to the people that followed along, and that we brought the gun shows too. And then same thing with the gun shops. That was ultimately fun. So if I can figure out a way to do that again without going broke and maybe even making a buck, then I will be doing that as fast as possible. So thanks to you and others that were a part of all that and have been a part of what we're doing now. But yeah, I do appreciate what I've been able to do and what I'm hopefully going to be able to do again. I still have the books, except for the stuff that got lost on the hard drives in 2019. I still have, the books that are in different stages. I would say about 60% done, but because of all the stuff that's happened over the last couple of years, I'd say that the gun book is really more like 50% done because I have a lot more to add to it. But I can't wait to be able to get time again to be able to get back to those and creating them and researching them and then getting them out there. But till then, we'll keep doing this show on the weekends. We'll keep doing the show with Tony on Saturdays. And we'll be adding them interview shows whenever I can do that again. But I guess with that said, thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you tomorrow. And congratulations to Gizzard, if anybody isn't paying attention, on the new little grandbaby.
Shit.